We are.
Okay. Ready when you are.
And so we are rising college tuition and debt, and this is us. So,
Okay, so definitions, what are student loans? So student loans are a type of loan designed to help students pay for post-secondary education and the associated fees. What are scholarships? Scholarships are a grant or payment made to support a student's education. And what are grants? Grants are a sum of money given by a government or organization for a particular purpose.
Student debt is money owed on a loan that was taken out to pay for educational expenses. Community college is a non-residential junior college offering courses that to people living in a particular area. A associate's degree is an undergraduate degree awarded after a course of post-secondary study lasting 2 years or 3 years. Usually you get this degree when you go to community college, and FAFSA is the free application of federal student aid. It's a form completed by current and future students going to college to get aid from the government.
So our team question was, how does college debt impact your life before, during, and after post-secondary school?
and the thesis for this question was that the lasting impact of college debt puts a burden on the decision to make before, during, and after post-secondary school. And so, thinking about going to college,
Okay, so before the degree, so what is success? Success is measured by one's desires and individual goals. And due to it being unique and individualized, some high school seniors may believe that a college degree is necessary in order to become successful, while others do not.
And so when thinking about going to college, most high school students question, I'm going to college because the inexperience with the process, generally first generation students, grades and scores, family concerns, and money. And so for the inexperience with the process, like I said, this usually concerns first generation students who have little to no support for applying to college. And the National Center of Education Statistics found that in the academic year of 2011-2012, 34% of undergraduates were the first in their families to go to college. And in this 34%, majority filled out the needed paperwork by themselves. Some of them missed opportunities because of the lack of knowledge of scholarships and grants, and some of them filled out the application and still felt like they didn't know much of the information to fill it out again. For grades and standardized tests, usually GPA and test scores influence your admission decision and also your financial aid. So some schools require a certain range of SAT and ACT scores to get into the program. And sometimes schools offer the option to not report these scores, but usually you should report them if you need financial aid to go to college. Some students struggle with the idea of leaving family members for college. Many students sometimes provide assistance for a loved one, and leaving for college means leaving that loved one without assistance. Financial support, some students work and help out with their household and financially, and some feel like their only supporters or the only people they have are their parents, so leaving college is a scary decision to make. Money, college applications range from $50 to $90 each, which sometimes limits the amount of schools students choose to apply or a specific school. SAT and ACT tests cost almost $50. The SAT test cost around this year $49.50, and the ACT cost $46. And each time you choose to retake this test to improve your score, you have to pay that amount. Plus, when you send scores to colleges, you also have to pay a certain amount for each of the schools you choose. And the third one is tutoring for SAT and ACT coaches to improve schools. It means you're likely to pay $45 to $100 per hour. So if you do choose to improve your SAT scores or ACT scores, that means you have to have money to do that, and usually for students who have not these resources means less financial aid for them.
And so paying for a higher education,
So as we see here, the price of tuition rises 7% a year, and that's from 1980 to 2019. And it's risen 344% overall in that same time period. And now the average student debt is $37,000 once they graduate. And over the entire U.S., it's $1.4 trillion in student debt. And tuition is $10,000 more expensive than it was in 2005. And so as you can see in this graph, tuition inflation and CPI, they correlate to a certain extent. And so CPI is Consumer Price Index, which is basically the inflation of goods and services for overall in our country. And as you can see, it'll drop and then it'll drop for tuition, then it'll rise for both. And so they do correlate to a certain extent. And you can try to track CPI to find out when tuition will be at its highest, and you can prepare for that. And then tuition has a large effect on the economy. So you might think that it just hurts the students and their families, but more debt makes a slower economy because people delay certain decisions like buying a house or a car, and those things help the government through taxes. And so when you don't make these purchases, the government has less money for financial aid to give out. And so graduates also struggle with payments. So 7 million students have made a payment in over 1 year, and that was in 2019. And this results in less money for the government, which is therefore smaller loans, and college is more expensive. And this is the downward spiral effect caused from that.
and so with debt, we go to debt after college, in which the search for a job after college. So debt creates fear in the sense of people where because of how much debt students are taking on, they go out of college to find the easiest job that they can. These jobs tend to be low paying and having nothing to do with the related major that they studied in. And so the result of taking these easy jobs that have no relation to what they want to study is that they feel unmotivated and don't want to put as much work into their work. And so because of this, college debt makes this job necessary, where because they're taking this job to pay off the debt as much as possible, they can't go out to find their dream job. And because they're taking these easy jobs to pay off their debt, just as Ansel said, they have to leave important life decisions behind them so that they can focus on paying off the debt. For example, they can't take time off, and there's little to no time for vacations, because they're always focused on paying off their debt. And so because of this, college debt creates a system of constant work, where people need to constantly work to pay off the college debt. And this can raise stress of many people, and because of the stress that has increased within them, this can shorten their lifespans exceptionally because of how much work they're putting in to the system. And so solutions to this are to lower the debt you'll likely require, advise students about the threats of student debt and how it can affect their future, and consider attending a community college.
So lowering debt, ways you can lower debt for yourself is to start saving before you actually start college. Applying for scholarships is very good for lowering the amount of debt you require. It's important to save during college, so while you're going to classes, getting a job and saving. Using as less loans as you can will help you later down the road. And then saving and making payments after college is important. And then informing students, so in high schools, you should learn how to save financially, the importance of scholarships and grants, and how to apply for them, how to apply for FAFSA, and how debt can hurt your future.
Okay, and the last one would be community college. When you attend a community college, only for 2 years, and essentially you are saving money, and the average cost is around $3,347. And once you apply to a four-year university, you would be a junior.
And so the conclusion to this presentation is that debt can have a major impact on the decisions you make before, during, and after college, which, if lowered or eliminated, can provide a necessary support that's needed for millions of Americans currently suffering under crippling debt. And so our sources which we have many in our images. 9:51.
All right, so I have some questions for this team. I'm gonna go ahead and look at these. And those questions are, give me just a sec, let me find your questions. All right, so here are the questions. All right, my first question is, this one is for Tahirah. Tahirah, could you give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Orson's findings?
I feel like my opinion or my thinking did not change throughout his findings, but they were like affected. During Orson's findings, he found that if you do decide to go to post-secondary school in order to be successful and gain a degree, then you could potentially fall into debt and go into the first job that you like see. So instead of going to like your dream job.
Okay. Okay. My next question is for Ansel. Ansel, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that your group identified?
Well, I think Orson, his findings really helped me out a lot. The problem we identified was that college debt is a large burden on the students and as well as the economy, and it's continuing to rise, which is increasing the problem. And Orson, he found research on how that hurts you in finding a job, which I never exactly thought about how it would affect finding a job and how that can hurt your future. And so that really added to my final conclusion that I came to, was that debt has a large effect on your life, and starting to save as soon as you can really helps you out. And then later on, you have to start making payments as soon as you can, and getting a job is important to do that.
Okay. All right. Excellent. My next question is, this one is for Orson. Can you describe how the content of your team presentation was changed as a result of your group discussions?
So the first topic that we talked about was in relation to Valeria, in which she was talking about first generation college students. And while that's a very big important part, we had a whole slide dedicated to it before, and we felt like it was just focusing on one particular group when we're trying to focus on every college student and how they face debt. And so what we did with Valeria was that we instead changed it to a footnote about how first generation college students are affected by debt, because we don't want to leave, of course we don't want to leave certain groups behind. We have to see the big picture about this and realize that everybody is affected with debt. And then another example was with Ansel about, not just Ansel, but also everybody else, how beforehand the presentation was mainly focused on before, during, and after college debt. Because of our group discussions, we instead just changed it to how debt is accumulated on college students over time and how it can affect them in the future.
Yeah, and by this is talking about before, even though we kind of stayed away on naming things like before, during, after, we kind of structured the presentation as high school students already accumulating kind of debt and trying to decide whether to go to college or not because of the expenses that it takes. And then you talk about tuition, and then you talk about how finding a job. Kind of just, you're still stuck with that.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And then my last one is, this one is for Valeria. Valeria, what's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that your team decided to exclude from this team presentation, and why?
Yes. Orson touched on a little bit on how, because of finding a job and choosing a job that isn't your dream job, and also working and to pay off debt, you have certain like conditions that you develop, like stress. And he did mention a little bit in our presentation, but we've had for kind of decided to exclude the fact that it also creates depression or other medical conditions that we chose to like step aside from talking, because our main point was talking about the debt that you accumulate throughout the years when you decide to go to college.
Okay. That's it for this team. Give them a big hand. All right.